Okay, ready? Mr. Centennial, would you lead us in the pledge? Okay, first of all, I want to remind everyone should be wearing a mask and practicing social distance. Thank you very much. Okay, item 1.3, opening comments. Superintendent Troxclair.
Thank you, President Morrison. Today, our teaching and support staff reported to campuses for the first day of district-wide in-service to prepare for the students' first days of school beginning August 12th. We are excited to welcome everyone back and look forward to the many wonderful things they will accomplish again this year. As a reminder, students will start on an AB schedule for the first 2 days of school only. Please check out the new LPSS website for grade level reporting details. We recently received the latest data from the Louisiana Department of Education, and LPSS saw notable growth in many areas as measured by Louisiana's accountability system. Academically, high school ELA scores increased to a 5-year high based on tests taken this past year. In 2 other critical measures of the accounting system, we saw an entire letter grade increase from a B to an A in cohort graduation rate and strength of diploma. Based on data from the 2019-2020 school year, our cohort graduation index increased from 85.1 B to 94.1 A. This index reflects the number of seniors that graduated on time with the allotted 4-year period. This accounts for 20% of the high school performance score. Based on the outcomes of our graduates from the 2019-2020 school year, our strength of diploma index increased from 89.8 B to 101.1 A. Strength of diploma is defined as the number of students completing advanced coursework, including college-level classes and/or industry-based credentials. This accounts for 25% of the high school performance score. Beginning this fall, qualifying LPSS high school seniors attending David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy will have the opportunity to earn college engineering credits as part of a pilot dual enrollment program in the UL College of Engineering. We want to thank Pugh Family Foundation Chair Nick Pugh, David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy instructor Todd Hansen, and UL Lafayette College of Engineering Associate Dean Dr. Hunter for partnering to make this project possible for our students. As part of the partnership with the Lafayette Ready Start Network, LPSS has secured funding for a new program that will make available more than 200 seats in 11 early learning childhood centers for children from birth to age 3. These no-cost seats are now available on a first-come, first-served basis to families who apply and meet the requirements. Please visit our website for more application details or call 337-521-7134. And in closing, each year, SLMCO members have an opportunity to offer a $2,000 scholarship to some of our students to attend a public university or community college. This year, 3 recipients from Lafayette Parish were awarded the scholarships, and they are Logan Landry from Southside High School, Diamond Ledette from Acadiana High School, and Aaron Robinson, also from Acadiana High School. Thank you, SLMCO, for supporting our students, and congratulations to these well-deserving recipients. This concludes my opening statements. Ms. Morrison.
Thank you, Superintendent Troxclair. Okay, before we move forward, I'd like everyone to know that Ms. LeBou is not here because she's ill and Ms. Mason is out of town. Okay? All right, so next item, we're going to go into litigation. I'm going to read all three items, and then I would ask for a motion to go into litigation. Item 2.1, discussion and/or action concerning prospective litigation. 2.2, discussion and/or action concerning prospective litigation. And 2.3, discussion and/or action concerning prospective litigation. I'll ask for a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss the formal written demand which has been made by Manana Mata relative to her workers' compensation claim, and to discuss formal written demand which has been made by Sarah Noel relative to her workers' compensation claim, and to discuss the formal written demand which has been made by Monica Crooks relative to her workers' compensation claim.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Zentini and a second by Mr. Lachele. All in favor? Okay. We'll go into executive session at this time.
Check, check, check.
Go up there and see, I'm gonna turn it. See if it fits out up there.
Hold on this. Yeah. Okay. Check, check. 1, 2. Check, check. Check, 1, 2. Check, check, check. You heard me
In here, yeah.
Are they coming back?
Madam President, I move that we return to regular session.
Okay, have a motion by Mrs. Centeni and a second by Mr. Angel to go back into regular session. Everyone? Any public comments? Any board comment? I'll call for the vote.
Six for, none against.
Motion pass.
Madam President, I move that the board grant the request of the third-party administrator relative to the workers' compensation claim demands made by Madonna Mata, Sarah Noel, and Monica Crooks.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Centeni and a second by Mr. Lachele. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? I'll call for the vote.
Who's the second? 7-4, none against.
Motion carries. We'll move on to information items. Item 3.1, amendment of number 1 of the ESSER 2 and 3 Achieve application submission to the Louisiana Department of Education. Ms. McGee?
Yes, attached to this agenda item is the Budget Revision 1 for the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 submission. I wanted to provide the board with the detail. It reflects that information that was actually submitted to the State Department. The focus being basically a couple of areas. It starts out with the prevention in response to COVID-19. That's the big umbrella. That's the primary focus. And within that focus, it can be further broken down in a very broad sense between addressing loss attributable to the pandemic, either via professional development or additional instructional materials for the classroom. And then the second piece being the prevention and safety protocol and related materials and supplies, setting up the protocol, implementing it, maintaining it, and then having the supplies on hand to support it. So in a broad brushstroke sort of sense, those are the primary focuses of the submissions. So I would ask if there are any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry. Item 3.2, availability of school uniforms. Mr. Centani?
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. I had 2 parents contact me individually to request time at our meeting to speak about school uniforms. First is Ms. Jessica Wells, and then Ms. Carrie Barus will tell us what the issues that they're facing purchasing uniforms this year.
My name is Jessica Wells. I have 3 kids in the parish. One's in high school, 2 in elementary. I started looking for uniforms the end of June when they start coming out, and they didn't have any. So then a few weeks later, I noticed there was hardly any school supplies and uniforms, and I started asking the managers if they were getting any more shipment delayed. And a lot of the managers that I spoke with said whatever was available on the floor is what they were getting, that there was a shortage. And I just have concerns with the uniforms this year, just the fact that there is a shortage, and that the majority of Lafayette Parish is the Title I school. So I know I could afford to buy multiple sizes and hope that they fit online, but there's those parents that can't afford to buy multiple sizes in hopes that they fit. Or another problem that I'm seeing is you make an order online and they're canceling the order because they're simply sold out. As of right now, also another problem is like parents cannot pay for the school shirts that they have. Like each school you can buy shirts, and then in addition to the polos. I can afford to pay $20, but maybe my neighbor can't. And there's a slight problem with that right now is my high schooler has no uniforms because the grad shop said they may be available before school starts, and I ordered those in June. So I'm stuck with a freshman with no uniforms because they're all sold out online. None of them fit that are in stores because they're too big. So I'm left with a freshman that has no uniform, and I don't know what to do because of the lack of supply. And like I said, it's not just me. I know several other parents are having this issue, and I just feel that uniforms this year needs to be a leeway because I know I'm not the only parent having issues. Like I said, it's a issue all the way around. Thank you.
Hi, I am also the parent of 3 students in Lafayette Parish. a middle schooler and 2 elementary schools. My middle schooler is the one I'm having issues with. Between 2 stores, I was able to get enough of the polos, but bottoms are impossible. I've ordered and returned from several different stores. They're following their sizing charts online it's like guessing, because you follow it, but they don't come in that size. So you return and you try to reorder the next size, and they're not available. It's all grayed out. There's just no stock. You stand in line to return them inside the store. You're talking to other parents that are going through the same exact thing. In fact, in one store I went in, I took 3 of the same pair of shorts, same exact size, and they were all 3 different sizes, up to 1 inch difference, which translates to 2 inches around. How can you, so it sounds like in addition to inventory issues, there's also quality issues because their sizing is all off as well. So we're trying very hard to get uniforms, but we're failing very, very badly. So we just want to know what we can do for this school year.
Mrs. Centeni?
Thank you, ladies, for bringing this up. I really appreciate it. And, you know, the agenda item will say, ask the superintendent and our staff to look into possible solutions, whatever it is that we can do to make this, you know, I don't know. I honestly don't know what we can do, right? We can't make Walmart carry uniforms, but try to figure out some kind of solution to make it easier on our students and families as we start the school year until we can try to come up with a permanent solution. So thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is item 3.3, personnel changes. Mr. Mouton?
Good evening. Good evening, Ms. Trosclair, Ms. Morrison, and the board. I have 4 principals that I am introducing to the board this evening. First up is Ms. Ronika Coleman. Ms. Coleman is the new principal of Alice Boucher Elementary School. Ms. Coleman holds a bachelor's degree from Nicholls State University, a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Chaplin University, and is a current doctoral student at the University of Holy Cross, New Orleans, pursuing a doctorate of education in executive leadership. She has served as a senior program specialist with the National Institute for Excellence for Teaching. And prior to joining the NIE team, she served as a TAP principal for Village East Middle School in Terrebonne Parish for 4 years. And she most recently served as the principal of S.J. Montgomery Elementary School here in Lafayette Parish. Ms. Ronika Coleman.
Greetings to Superintendent Trosclair, the board, and all the members here today, and everyone in the audience. I want to say thank you to Superintendent Trosclair for appointing me to Alice Boucher Elementary. As I spent 10 months at S.J. Montgomery, I'm going to continue doing the great work and leading our school to excellence at Alice Boucher, and thank you for entrusting me to lead that school.
Next up, we have Ms. Laurie Venable, the new principal of Austin Elementary. Ms. Venable holds a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and a Master's in Education in Educational Leadership from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. She has served as a kindergarten teacher at Alice Boucher. She has also served, and listen to this, a kindergarten teacher and a 4th grade teacher at Austin Elementary. She has served as the data analyst at Austin Elementary, and she has served as the assistant principal at Austin Elementary. Ms. Laurie Venable.
Good evening, and thank you, Superintendent Trosclair and the board, for appointing me principal at Austin Elementary. I am proud to be principal there. I have been there for 26 years now, and I look forward to continuing to lead Austin and striving to make it the best school that it can be. We have a fabulous faculty and staff and a fantastic culture, and I look forward to continuing to serve and lead there. Thank you.
Next up is Miss Amanda Guillory, the new principal of Milton Elementary Middle School. Ms. Guillory holds a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Louisiana State University at Alexandria and a master's in educational leadership from Arkansas State University. She has served as a fifth grade teacher at Karen Crow Heights Elementary School, an administrative assistant at Marksville Elementary School, an instructional coach at New Tech High School in Bunkie, Louisiana, an elementary teacher, technology coordinator at Cottonport Elementary School. She has served as principal of St. Mary's Assumption School, and she has served as assistant principal at Lafayette Middle School, and most recently, assistant principal at summer school that was held at David Thibodeau STEM Magnet Academy. Miss Amanda Guillory, Principal, Milton Elementary Middle.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Lafayette Parish School Board, and Superintendent Trostclair. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I introduce myself to you as the newly appointed principal of Milton Elementary Middle School. I am honored to lead a school that is high-performing, family-centered, and community-driven. I am honored. In my first few weeks of school, I have received a warm welcome from staff, teachers, parents, community members, district personnel, school board members, and the students. It is clear that it is a collegial partnership between all stakeholders to provide the best possible academic experience for every child at Milton. Along with the teachers and staff, I will work hard to continue the tradition of excellence at Milton by building strong relationships with students, parents, and the community. We will continue to focus on the academic excellence experience and setting high expectations. The educational program will be rigorous and engaging to provide students with the tools to become lifelong learners. Parents, teachers, and staff have an important role to encourage our students to become active learners. A team approach is necessary to create and maintain a positive learning environment. As your principal, it is important to me that everyone that steps through those doors are excited as I am to be a Yellow Jacket. Thank you.
And finally tonight, Miss Lane Edelman, new principal of Acadiana High School. Ms. Edelman holds a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Social Studies education from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and a Master's in Educational Leadership from the American College of Education. She has served as a social studies teacher at Como High School, an assistant principal at Acadiana High School, and a summer school principal at Acadiana High School this past summer. During this time, she has also served as a human resources officer for the Louisiana National Guard from 2011 to 2019. So we thank you for your service. Ms. Lane Edelman, principal of Acadiana High School.
Good evening. I want to take this opportunity to personally thank Mrs. Trostclair, Mr. Latchley, Ms. Morrison, and the members of the board for putting your faith and trust in me to lead Acadiana High School. It is truly the most remarkable school in Lafayette Parish, and I'm honored to be its principal. Having spent the last 9 years at Acadiana, I understand the unique challenges that we face. Our team has been diligently working this summer to develop plans to target areas of academic need to give our students the quality education that they deserve. We are striving to fill the gaps that COVID-19 has created and push our students to new heights academically. As principal, I'm devoted to bringing academic excellence to Acadiana High to match our many athletic accomplishments. Thank you, and go Rams.
Our next item is item 3.4, facilities, monthly facilities update. Mr. Bordelon.
Good evening, members of the board. Kyle Bordelon, Director of Planning and Facilities. In your packet is the monthly facilities update. If you have any questions about any of the current projects, I'll be glad to answer them at this time.
Mr. Lachele?
Mr. Bordelon, I think we can finally say the Scott Middle Cafeteria is finally complete.
Yes, sir, it is completed.
Yes, and we liquidated damages and everything. We're all good on that.
Well, that could take a while, but the building is completed. We've gotten approval from the fire marshal to move in, and so we're on green light go now.
How we doing? I didn't get to look. I'm still scrolling. We good on the parking area at Burke, the excess line at Charles Burke?
That's completed
That's
also.
complete. Good, yeah. I know Scott Middle was a challenge, something you maybe haven't faced in a while, and just thank you for doing the best y'all could.
Thank you.
Mr. Angel?
Yes, I have a question for, concerning the architects that the board chose, the two architects for Karen Crow Heights and is it Prairie Elementary. They've yet to receive any kind of contract or anything like that. Is there a holdup, or what's the deal?
That's a question for Mr. Brew.
Great question, and it's timely. I'm working on the contracts as today, and by the end of the week, we're going to get those contracts to them. They have to give us information also, so I've called the architects to give that to me to put on the contract, and I've also met with one of the architects to just get them started on what they can get started before the contract gets in hand. So, and ultimately, we are still on schedule, so this is not holding up anything.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Mrs. Centani?
I have two questions, Mr. Bordelon. First, on the S.J. Montgomery intercom replacement phase 2, would you mind, I see you say the engineer is preparing closeout paperwork, would you mind attaching next month whatever your document is that describes our opinion of their work on this project, whatever you or, whatever our historical documentation is going to be on this?
We don't have such a document, Mr. Centani.
No, we're still not creating a document like that? I thought that was one of the things that we were gonna do with our small projects.
One of our attorneys recommends not having such documentation, and we've discussed that with him. Mr. Guidry, if you remember any of those conversations we had on the telephone with him, you may want to elaborate.
Sorry, elaborate on which section of the contract?
A closeout document on the performance of the architects or engineers after a project is completed. Mr. Hardy had recommended.
Yes, in his opinion, that wouldn't serve the process well, is what he had mentioned on that particular piece.
Did he give a reason why it wouldn't serve the process well?
I believe he went into it in terms of ultimately it's a back and forth situation where it relies on certain individuals to provide that evaluation, and that can be accommodated without having that evaluation take place.
I don't understand. How can it be accommodated without an evaluation taking place?
A matter of just having those individuals, if there are any questions, making a phone call to that individual.
What if the individual no longer works for us?
Well, by the same token, if that individual no longer works for us, then the individuals who are here may not be in a position to comment anyway. It might be phone calls to the individuals and getting their comments that way.
Well, that was, I think, all of our suggestion why we wanted to write this down, was to have a historical record so that, you know, maybe somebody doesn't do a project for us for 10 years or so, and then,
Yeah.
you know, they come back and we're like, hey, what was
And-
our opinion of working with this firm 10 years ago, and then, you know, nobody's back there, but we have a folder with a piece of paper in it or something that says, this was our experience, you know?
And he went into more detail, but that was.
Perhaps we might get a copy of, maybe Mr. Hardy could write something for us?
Yes,
to
or we
review?
can even transcribe. You know, I'd like to go back and listen to it, because it was several months ago, so I'm not doing it justice, obviously.
Okay.
But we can do that.
Okay, and then the second question I have, Mr. Bordelon, and I want to, before I ask this question, I want to make clear to anyone who is listening, no decision has been made on anything regarding how Lafayette High construction is going to go, or anything like that. However, one of the potential avenues is going to be on campus where a phasing approach may require some portable buildings. All theoretical. The demolition project, I would just like to request that maybe and I don't know how you go about that, because I don't want to leave portable buildings on someone's campus when they're not needed, when they obviously want to get rid of them. But I would just suggest, before we destroy portable buildings that we own, do some kind of analysis to make sure we either have enough available somewhere in case we need to move some to the Lafayette High campus once construction gets underway. That's all I wanted to.
That has been done already. We've had multiple discussions about that, and we are reserving some particular portable buildings.
Thank you very much for your foresight. I appreciate it.
Okay, sure. Mr. Lachele?
Sorry, Mr. Bordelon, as I was scrolling the picture, something else came to mind. Can you check for me, please, with the contractor? And I think Ms. Edelman's still here. In case I can't make the next meeting, or it might be a question that I'm not supposed to ask. All the construction material that is between the construction site and the back road at the school, we're gonna need, like, it's a bunch of bricks and all this kind of stuff. Is that gonna be there much longer? Because we have athletic events and things coming up, that's a lot of the parking area and a lot of people passing there. And I don't know how safe or unsafe that's gonna be. So could we kind of maybe get like a timeline? Maybe send me an email, please, of if they think a lot of that stuff will still be there.
Some of that material will continue to be there, but we know that there are going to be football games there. The contractor will be securing the site.
Okay.
Putting up some type of orange fencing at least to try to
Okay.
keep people out of the construction site. We're going to do the best we can to keep people out and consolidate the material to
Okay.
as small an area as possible.
That would be appreciated. I mean, we have officers out there, we have deputies and police officers out there directing traffic. I mean, I'm not really concerned anybody goes play in it, but it's taking up a very big area back there. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Angel?
Well, my mic's not working too well. I just want to inform my colleague, I can assure you, if construction goes like we planned, there's plenty portable buildings at Karen Crow Heights alone for
Thank you, sir.
for Lafayette High School.
Okay. Mr. Broussard?
Mr. Bordelon, that has nothing to do with the construction going on. While I got you up there, I'm gonna ask you, have we taken care of the problem at Count Crow High? The tree area. What are
Oh.
the trees?
To the greatest extent possible that we can, we have. Any trees that are dead or dangerous, we've taken care of those. If there are any left, we don't know about them. So I hope that answers the question.
I haven't seen it, but I think if it's not to someone's satisfaction, we will be getting a phone call, so I just
I'm
thought
sure
I
you
asked.
will.
I thought I just asked, all right.
Thank you, Mr. Bordelon. Next information item is item 3.5, list of bids approved to be advertised by the superintendent. Mr. Guidry?
Yes, this is just an information item that shows the bids that have been advertised for. It includes a warehouse delivery truck, school supply kits, roofing replacement, and outdoor materials and equipment for an early childhood program on track by 5.
Any questions? Okay, seeing any questions, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. I'll read each item. Board members, if you'd like to pull an item, please do so. All other items will be voted on in globo. So I'll start with item number 1, 4.1, discussion and or action concerning the 2021-2022 pupil progression plan.
Pull it.
Item 4.2, discussion and or action concerning the 2021-2022 Learn Lafayette reopening plan.
Pull that, please.
Item 4.3, discussion and or action concerning the proposed 2021-2022 Student Parent Handbook.
Pull that.
4.4, discussion and or action concerning revisions to the 2021-2022 district calendar. 4.5, discussion and or action concerning 2020 reapportionment timelines, criteria, and project proposal for professional services for geographic planning and demographic services.
Pull that, please.
4.6, discussion or action concerning a budget revision and the self-funded construction fund for the Woodvale Elementary Cafeteria Expansion and Wing Addition project. Item 4.7, discussion or action concerning negotiation of the intergovernment agreement between Lafayette Consolidated Government and the Lafayette Parish School Board for the city bus use. 4.8, discussion or action concerning the bid award for bid number 14-22 Food Service Sanitation Program. 4.9, discussion and or action concerning capital improvement fund budget revision for a freezer warehouse generator. 4.10, discussion and or action concerning revision to the job description for non-public liaison executive master teacher, LPN, and director of risk management. 4.11, discussion or action concerning the new instructional leader federal, teacher federal, and paraprofessional federal job description. 4.12, discussion or action concerning the new C-Print capitalist job description. 4.13, discussion or action concerning proposed revision to the salary schedule, new pay scales, salary increases, and related general fund budget revision. 4.14, discussion or action concerning a revision to the supplemental pay section of the 2021-2022 salary schedule. 4.15, discussion or action concerning job description revision resulting from revised salary schedule and pay scales. 4.16, discussion or action concerning a new communication coordinator, federal position and job description. 4.17, discussion or action concerning approval of quote for portable buildings demolition package, number 2. Discussion or action concerning budget revision to general fund maintenance projects. That's item 4.18. 4.19, discussion or action concerning approval of quote for Drexler Elementary exterior painting. 4.20, discussion or action concerning approval of quotes for Scott Middle School exterior painting. 4.21, discussion or action concerning approval of quotes for fire sprinkler inspections and maintenance contract. 4.22, discussion or action concerning revisions to policy DIC inventories. 4.23, discussion or action concerning the sales tax collection report for June 2021. 4.24, discussion or action concerning budget to actual reports for July 2021. 4.25, discussion or action concerning the grant fund summary for June 2021, final. 4.26, discussion or action concerning approval of advertise and accept proposals for SPED, argumentative, alternative, communication, eye glaze device, RFP, number draft. Discussion or action concerning approval of the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire for year 2021. 4.28, discussion or action concerning bid award for bid number 01-22 calculators. 4.29, discussion and or action concerning architect selection for the new Lafayette High project. 4.30, discussion or action concerning revisions to policy file GBM. 4.31, discussion or action concerning policies JCD, school conduct, JCD-AB, student alcohol and drug abuse, JCD-AC, dangerous weapons, JD, discipline, JDD, suspension, and JDE, expulsion. 4.32, discussion and or action concerning the minutes of May 11th, 2021, and July 7th. 4.33, discussion or action concerning Northside High School roofing project.
Madam President, I move that the board approves all items not pulled.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Centani and a second by Mr. LaChale. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see. Ms. Julia.
Julia Reed, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators President. I'll speak on item 4.30, which is the transfer policy. In the policy, it refers to a transfer period, but no transfer period is actually stated in the policy. And I think that that could be a confusing point for staff when requesting a transfer. It says you have to submit a transfer by March 1st, and then it later refers to a transfer period. But again, other than that March 1st date, nothing else is given. It doesn't really specifically state either if that is just something that's up to the currently serving superintendent either. And we'd like to see some clarity around that in the policy.
Ms. Morrison, can we pull that item out of the, and address Ms. Reed's?
Okay, we're going
concern?
to add 4.30. We're going to pull this item.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we had a motion by Mr. Centeni and a second by Mr. LaChale. Any other public comment?
I would like to discuss 4.2.
Yeah, I think we had pulled it, so that will.
So it's going to come back? Okay, so I
Yeah,
have to
we'll
wait.
be able to discuss it. Yeah, we're just voting on the items not pulled at this time, and the items pulled, we'll go through those items one by one, and you will have public comment, and we'll also have board comment. You're welcome. Okay, so no other questions from the public? No other questions from the board? Okay, Mr. Angel?
Yes, ma'am, I forget the number, but I think it's maybe 4.18 about construction or
Concerning Division of General Fund Maintenance Projects, 4.18? Is that the one?
yeah, I just want to point out that at Karen Crow Middle School, we're doing a waterproofing job right now, and the company that's doing it noticed some, and I don't know if Mr. Brewer, I don't know if they've been made aware, but there's some steel frames around large windows that face an interior courtyard, and it's 40, the building is 40 years old, and he found some, the company found some very, very bad rust and deterioration of those steel frames. So I'm just saying we may be coming back, and we think there's enough money in the budget to replace them or fix them, prime them, and then paint them. But I just want y'all all to know that it's possible that we may need a little extra money if it's not enough. Thank you.
Okay. Any other board comment? Mr. Santani?
Two items of interest to me. It was, we have the Lafayette High architect appointment of Abel Crozier and Architect Southwest, a Lafayette firm that I'll tell the rest of the board members they came in and knocked everybody's socks off on the committee with their presentation and their vision. Very, you know, we have past experience with this firm. They designed and built Southside. Just very excited to have them on board. I was very, very impressed with their plan and organization when they presented to us on Monday morning. And then the second one, and this is something that I've, 4.7. You want to pull it? No, we can certainly pull it.
Any other comments on items not pulled? Okay, so seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Seven for, none against.
Motion carries. The first item pulled is item 4.1. It is discussion or action concerning the 2021-22 pupil progression plan, and it was pulled by Mr. Latchley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion and also add to it that the board approve the recommended changes to the pupil progression plan for the 2021-2022 academic school year. I'd like for it to also include this paragraph, which is being requested by staff that was not put in. That the board approves the 2021-2022 proposed pupil progression plan as attached to the public content section of this agenda item with the following change to page 55 under the quality points, grades 2 to 12. Heading paragraph 3 by striking through the sentence, if all quality points are only earned in one 9-week period, the student's progress and possible retention or failure to earn a Carnegie unit will be reviewed by the SBLC. And replacing it with the sentence, students must earn a minimum of 1 quality point in the first semester and 1 quality point in the second semester.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Latchley and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public?
Julia Reed, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. I just want to let you know that I went over this with Mr. Martin, and we are in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
7 for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull is item 4.2, discussion and or action concerning the 2021-2022 Learn Lafayette reopening plan, and it was pulled by Justin Centeni.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approves the 2021-2022 Learn Lafayette reopening plan as attached in the public content section of this agenda.
Have a motion by Mr. Lachelet and a second by Mr. Broussard. Any comments from the public?
I have some concerns regarding the reopening plan. Before I get started, I want to say thank you. Thank you to every teach member, faculty member, and staff. I do believe this school board is doing their absolute best. I do have 3 major concerns. My first concern is no parent involvement. Many parents mistakenly believe that their child's education is entirely in the hands of teachers, but research solely believes supports the case of parent involvement. Research from the National Coalition of Parent Involvement in Education shares that no matter their income or background, students with involved parents are more likely to have higher grades and test scores.
I'm sorry. You have to leave your mask on at all times. Thank you.
You can't hear me.
Yeah.
Attend school regularly, have better social skills.
All right. First thing we're going to have is respect and professionalism. And if you cannot respect, we're going to ask you to leave, okay? And there's no shouting out from the back of the room. If you have something to say, you'd have to come to the podium like everyone else. This meeting is going to be conducted professionally, okay? If you have something to say, get on the mic. Everyone needs to have their mask on, okay?
Okay, I don't know exactly where it was, but let's see. Likely to have higher grades and their test scores, attend school regularly, and have better social skills, show improved behavior, and adapt well in school. The National PTA reports that the most accurate predictors of student achievement in schools are not family income or social status, but to the extent to which the family becomes involved in the child's education at school. It is undeniable that parents who are active supporters of their children's learning are giving the kids the best opportunity for educational success. Parent support and involvement can also benefit kids of all ages at developmental level and extends beyond academics. When a child can see their parents supporting them, they are more likely to take risks, learn something new, instead of staying inside the box. Early childhood educator and junior account specialist reassignment. I also would like to go to waterford.org. Children with engaged parents are more likely earn higher grades and test scores, graduate from high school and attend post and secondary education, develop confidence and motivation in the classroom, have better social skills. They are also less likely to have low self-esteem, need redirection in the classroom, and develop behavioral issues. Against better judgment, LPSS is not allowing parents to show pre-K students to their class. 4-year-olds have to get out of their car around a bunch of adults they have never seen on a campus they have never been to and figure out where to go. Y'all, do you hear how insane this concept is? Please allow parents to be involved in their child's education. Last year, LPSS zoomed into our homes. However, asking to zoom in for award ceremony was not allowed at one of our schools. I don't know about anyone else, but my children at Prairie Elementary, we were not allowed to zoom in even for award ceremony. Please reconsider parent involvement. Let me point out 2 personal experiences on when a teacher crossed an educational boundary. Before I share these 2 experiences, I'd like to point out I will not state the school, nor am I faulting LPSS. I am merely using these 2 examples as why parent involvement is so important. Both incidents happened in the school year 2018 to 2019. My son was in 7th grade. First incident was Black History Month. I love Black History Month. I've learned so much from Black History Month. However, there's always someone that takes a wonderful month and turns it into something it should not be. My 7th grader got Wanda Sykes, I did not know anything about her, so I was really eager to dive in with my 7th grader. I was reading the questions required to be answered by this English teacher. All standard until I got to the last question. Handwritten by his English teacher was, "What is her sexual preference?" Do you really think this question is appropriate for a 7th grader's English report to be given in front of the class? I think not. Second incident, same teacher, a global warming report. No problem until I seen websites that were required to use Washington Post and New York Times. My husband and I set up a conference to meet with said teacher. We brought a gift to try and lighten the mood. We asked if we could use some credible weather-related websites like NASA or the National Weather Service, not news outlets. We were told no, and then later we were called arrogant on Facebook. I believe when you tell someone what to think instead of how to learn and research, we as a society have failed. Do we really want opinion articles to dictate science? I urge you to please reconsider parent involvement. Second issue I would like to discuss is absences.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's 3 minutes. Each public comment is 3 minutes. I'm so sorry. And your time's up.
Thank you. Can you please reconsider absent policy, though? Last year, we got absences. It's hard for parents to stay in, keep their kids when they can't go to school for COVID. So please reconsider the absent policy.
Hello, my name is Kevin. Do we all enjoy wearing these masks? Is this something that we have the authority to change? Can we change the policy of the mask? Is that within our power? The gentleman, Mr. Guidry, was speaking earlier without his mask, just like this, and nobody said a word. You came out and addressed the public, ma'am in the green dress. You came out and addressed the public, and you spoke without a mask, and that was fine. It was no big deal. So my question is, they have a lot of parents concerned with their children and the masks, constantly wearing the mask 8 hours a day at the school, breathing in their exhale, their bacteria over and over, digging into their ears, coming home with pimples and breakouts and all these festering things on their face. So do we have the authority as a community to change policy? Or are we gonna allow this top-down government to continue to press? They want to press testing. They want to test kids 3 times a month. They're going to incentivize the schools to take money to do COVID testing. Have we done any research on this? Or is the testing accurate? Why are we probing the kids in the back of their nasal cavity for this virus that hasn't been isolated? It's just a question. And it seems like there's just a spell over mankind right now where people can't have an individual thought. They can't speak. They can't research. The people want a voice. The people have strong feelings. You have kids. You have mothers and fathers that are just irate. They don't know how to respond. One thing's for sure: none of us know how to respond because this is all new. So wearing this thing, if we have to do it, we do it, and that's as far as the thinking goes. Do I just wear this and deprive my kids of smiles, of laughter, of going to school and seeing a warm teacher that just greets them and welcomes? Welcome to school with this mask on? If we have the authority as a parish to watch this thing and monitor it, I ask that we keep a close eye on it, because the psychological damage of wearing a mask for these poor children is intense and it's severe, and we're not going to know the depths of it until years have passed. Thank you.
My name is Shelley Woosley. I'm a mother of 4. My children were in the public school system. That is not true. Even John Bell Edwards said that when you are speaking publicly, you do not need to wear a mask, and he is right. Why do I have to put on a mask? I never wear this thing. It doesn't work. Even on the box, it says it will not prevent a spread of virus. The only mask that has been proven to form any type of protection is an N95 mask. Are you going to provide these children with the proper protection? My kids stayed home last year. I was hoping to get them back in school. I couldn't send my children knowing that they would have to go to school every single day wearing this thing, breathing in bacteria, which, by the way, has been proven. They have tested these masks after these kids wear these masks. They're full of bacteria. They're causing respiratory infections. These kids, they're kids. They drop it on the floor when they go into the bathroom. Can you imagine what goes on these things, and they just put it right back on their face? You expect me to send my children in your care knowing that they can't hug, they can't even get a hug? These teachers are hurting too. These teachers want to hug their children. I want to know that my kid can go to school and not be afraid of some stranger behind a mask. Children, they feed off of facial expression. The way that you respond with your facial expressions is how they take it. Most of the time, they don't even hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. They just see how you react with your facial expression. This is scary for our children. This is wrong. Who are y'all to say?
Okay, we don't need no applause, okay? No applause.
How is it your right to tell me what I should put on and in my child's body? No, he's right. None of you know. We tried this already. They just proved in Alberta, Canada, that the virus has never been isolated. It has never been, there is no documentation that they could find. It went to court, in front of a court, that there is no isolation of this virus. If you have no isolation of this virus, then you do not have proof that it even exists.
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Unmask our children. Let them be kids. This is stressful for adults. Can you imagine what these kids are going through? Suicide is the second.
Your 3 minutes are up. I'm so sorry. Your 3 minutes are up.
Suicide is the leading cause of death in children in the United States. Think about that. And it is only rising since this has happened.
Good evening. My name is Pamela Tebow, and I want to speak on about my concerns is for the COVID and with the reopening and what's going to be the safety of our kids. How they're going to make sure that our kids are going to continue to be safe. Last time I came here was last year around this time when I caught COVID, and I had it for 33 days. I had all the symptoms of the COVID except the fever. And last year they was talking about giving our kids, checking their temperatures when they get on the bus and when they get off the bus. That's not accurate. You can't tell if a child or anybody have COVID just by them having a temperature, because I didn't have that. Well, today I stand here and I have my daughter at home with her 12-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. My daughter had the vaccine, and she's sitting in our house today with the Delta strain. My 12-year-old granddaughter have the Delta as well. She have a 10-year-old in the house who's trying to take care of her mother and her 12-year-old and her 3-year-old sister. My daughter caught her crying in a corner, going into anxiety and a depression because she's in there by herself, don't know how to take care of her mom and her sisters. Every symptom that I had with the COVID, my granddaughter and her mother have those same symptoms, but on top of those symptoms of the COVID, they have new symptoms on top of the COVID symptoms with the strep throat and the earache and the strep throat, earache, sinus infection, congestion, severe headache, nausea, no taste, no smell, diarrhea, body pain, high fever, 102.4, chest pain, trouble breathing, weak and severe stomach pain. This is what my 12-year-old granddaughter is dealing with right now. I stayed up the other night FaceTiming her to make sure that I can see her, make sure that she was all right, because her mother was in another room and couldn't go in there and help her or her 10-year-old sister or her 3-year-old sister because she's burning up with fever 102.3 and her 12-year-old 102.4 in the house. Nobody can help nobody. Well, I prayed and I asked God, because on that third day, I said, God, take care of the rest of my family, because I was going to sacrifice my life that night, risking me catching the Delta or COVID again, to go make sure that the rest of my grandkids and her daughter them were all right in that house. And if that meant me giving up my life to make sure they was all right, then I was willing to do that. And y'all want to send our kids to school. This is a 12-year-old having to deal with those type of pains in her body. And if that child was to go to the hospital, her mom couldn't be there, her dad couldn't be there, nobody could be there. At least think about maybe delaying the school to September the 1st, or till the mask is mandated, or something. When y'all make y'all decisions, think about that. That could be one of your kids or one of your grandkids, and they would have to go through the same thing. We don't want to see nobody kids go through that. Nobody. So
Thank
when y'all
you.
make those decisions, please make the right decisions, because that's hard for a mother and a grandparent to have to deal with and have to see.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up.
Joy Reed, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. President, our association at this time takes a position of support on the school reopening plan, especially with the implementation of masks. And we actually ask that you keep the implementation of masks in place as long as the CDC recommends masking in a K-12 setting. It is difficult. I'm sorry. It is difficult to hear that people do not want the mask, because it is difficult to make the kids wear them. It's difficult to wear them. It is an inconvenience. But what is more inconvenient is not having students in school, is not having students at all, not having educators at all. Every day, a teacher, a janitor, a paraeducator, a cafeteria lady who walks through the door of that school, they are there prepared to defend children with their very bodies. From active shooters, anything that comes through the door. And all we are asking is that you help us keep them safe. We don't all agree. I know we don't, but science is science. We teach science in our schools, and it's hurtful. And I know there are some teachers that disagree with me, and so I want to make clear that this is now me speaking as an individual personally and not as the president. It hurts me that we cannot agree on protecting our kids and keeping them good. It hurts me as a teacher. We are here because we haven't done what we needed to do, because we as adults did not wear our masks and we did not get our vaccines, and now the numbers are higher. It is not the kids' fault, but they deserve to be safe, and I deserve to be safe, and every person on a school campus deserves to be safe. And so I ask that you keep the mask mandate and that you adopt the superintendent's reopening plan as written. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Jennifer Abear. I'm here as a representative of Acadiana High and also for the Band Parent United. I'm going to speak on a couple of different things with this. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for putting forth a plan that really does support and advocate for our children. Masks do work. I am a nurse. I was a former school nurse for the parish. I am also a mother of 5 and a wife of a music educator here in the parish. I believe that masks should be used in its entirety while the CDC recommends it. Secondly, and what I'm really here for tonight is to ask the board to please change the verbiage on the band vocal and music portion of the reopening plan. I know it was discussed today, but we are not in a phase. We have not been in a phase at all in the entire state since May 26th. And because the state does not have a department head for music and the arts on the state level of education, it usually gets left behind, that things continue to be reused over and over. So we're asking that the verbiage for allowing bands and chorus and music classes in the parish to follow the National Federation of High School guidelines, along with the National Association for Music Education, which is the link that is also on there. It just has a little bit different verbiage, and it gives the teachers direction of what they can do at different levels, which the graph here in the document does not. We appreciate all of your advocacy for our children, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Skinner-Tusha, and I want to talk to y'all about the mask because the mask doesn't work. They found Anthony Fauci's emails, and years ago he said that the mask does not work, that it causes bacterial pneumonia, it spreads disease, and the virus is 1,000 to 5,000 times smaller than the gap in the mask, okay? And then there's also proof that wearing the mask on the children, it socially retards them, okay? And it cuts off their oxygen. They're developing their brain. Their brain's developing. They need oxygen for their little brains to develop. Okay, so if you have the mask on for 8 hours a day, their brain's not developing, and they're gonna be very depressed. And like the previous speaker was saying, when they're communicating, they need facial expressions to grow up and to be able to socialize. So it's socially retarding our children, and it's absolutely terrible. And kids have very little chance of catching COVID, and that's the proof. You have to research the frontline doctors. There's other doctors out there besides the CDC. The CDC's in a lot of trouble. They're being sued right now. They've committed so many felonies in history, and it's true. And the shot is the problem. The shot is the Delta variant, because in Israel, 85% of the people have been vaccinated, and they're all sick. Same with Singapore, same with all these other countries. The most vaccinated areas is where you're seeing the most hospitalizations and trouble. The shot is a bioweapon, and we have proof, okay? So we need to protect our children from the shot, and if they really cared about our health, they would tell us all to take vitamins. They would give all our children vitamin D and all these extra things to boost our children's immune system. The masks don't work. The box says it does not work. Anthony Fauci said it doesn't work, okay? So we need to get together as a community and really help children. And we can prevent this by boosting everybody's immune system fast and avoiding the shot, okay?
Hi, I'm Yvette Cassidy. I have 3 daughters in LPSS. A couple of you know me. I've had meetings with Ms. Trosclair, Centennial, and Gardner. Last year, I did not send my kids to school. I pulled them out of the system and did homeschooling. It was a good choice. It was rewarding at some times. It was very difficult. I work a full-time job. My husband works a full-time job. My kids were begging to go back to school. It was a very tough decision to send them back to school wearing this. I don't wear it very often. When I have to, I do. My kids, now all 3 have to have inhalers because of these stupid things. My first grader would come home with the gross lunches that y'all chose to fix these kids to on her mask. How is that good for her to be breathing in her leftover lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning? It makes no sense. I'm sorry. Your kill claim on your chemical, I just asked Kyle Bordelon, is a 10-minute kill claim. Justin, I know you can vouch for this. I have sent y'all chemicals that kill 1 minute. It kills COVID, It kills flu. It kills all the bacteria that are in the schools. I have also sent y'all wax that has microban in it. That helps the kids when they sit on the floor and when these stupid things fall on the floor because it's killing the germs. I have not gotten an email back from any of y'all except for Justin. And Ms. Trosclair, I did send them to you too. I work for a janitorial company here in Lafayette that has top grade chemicals for this. I work with other parishes. I work with Vermilion. I just got into St. Landry Parish and Acadia Parish. Acadia Parish spent their money correctly. They bought dividers for their kids so when they sit at their desk, they can take these off. They're not having to wear it for 8 hours. They also cooked lunches that smelled delicious. I walked in there, they were cooking chicken fettuccine, not the same 7 nasty ass meals getting rotated on a calendar. Yes, they might be free, but you know what? I had to get up every morning and pack my kids' lunch because they refused to eat it. This is ridiculous. I know that Lafayette Parish does not spend their money correctly because I'm in other parishes. I am on the verge of moving to a different parish or moving out of this state. Look at Florida. The kids are not getting sick. They are open. They are going to school with no mask. It's a parent's choice, not your choice. It's ours.
Good evening. I'm Chip Jackson of 100 Black Men of Greater Lafayette. I didn't plan on speaking this evening, but I just can't stand here and listen to this in a place that's supposed to be all about education, this miseducation, and that's what it is. 2 things. One, I get sick and tired of hearing the word community thrown around as if people who speak represent the total community. They do not. And I'm here to say that we as an organization and members of the community that we serve are fully in support of wearing masks, are fully in support of the reopening plan. It's funny, I just left Florida. I was there for 6 weeks. People are dropping like flies in Florida. So I support what this board is doing. I urge you to continue to follow the guidelines of the CDC. 600,000 of our fellow Americans have died. Protect our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I am a mom and a sometimes substitute teacher, and I don't have any more experience than anyone else here, but I just want to speak up in favor of masks and encourage you to keep them as long as possible. As a sub, compared to what other parents are saying of that the kids can't read the facial expressions, believe me, they can. And the kids that don't come with masks, many of the teachers don't want to handle them because they're afraid of the many germs and they're weary of sending them closer to other students because they're worried about infecting other students. They need to be better enforced in the classrooms, in the schools. I've gone around to many schools. Most do a good job. They need to do better in the classroom, keeping it on so that we can ensure that every student can stay in the classroom. Please keep the mask initiative as long as possible until we get vaccines so that our kids can be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Seeing none, we'll move over to board.
Ms. Morrison, being Mr. Santani was out at the time, I'd like to withdraw my motion so that he can remake it, including an amendment to it.
Okay. Okay. We have another public comment? We're still on the first one. You could go on. You could go on, please.
My name's Gemma Cedillo. I'm speaking on behalf of LPAE as the Vice President, and I just want to say thank you for all that you've done to create this plan, and I appreciate everybody's wholehearted, passionate comments. However, it is a state mandate, so whether the district wants to remove it or not, they can't. So I just urge you to remember that as we continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now,
Now, I'd like
you want to
to
make a motion?
withdraw my motion to defer to Mr. Centeno.
All right, so
Please
Ms.
go
Morrison,
ahead.
I have a few different motions, and then we can approve the result of those votes at the end. The first one I have is, I move that the board replace the entirety of page 15 with band or vocal activities may occur indoors or outdoors. When activities occur indoors, they must be held in accordance with the National Federation of State High School Associations and the National Association for Music and Education guidance.
Okay, Ms. Second, okay.
Yeah, and I'll give you a quick explanation if you don't mind. So page 15 with the band guidance is a little unclear, let's say. It has phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 headings, which I don't think anybody's been doing phases for a while. So it has a link to the reference guidance, which was aerosol studies of band and instrument usage, including putting bell covers on your brass instruments and coverings for your wind instruments, which are the main aerosol transmitters in the band. So it's really just trying to clean up that page, keep what is in the phase 3 box, and just make that the rule for the district. And if any of you have any questions, Scotty Walker, the band director at Lafayette High, is here to answer, because he had a hand in developing those recommendations.
Okay, do we have any comment from the public on the amended motion? Any comments from the board? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Ms. Morrison?
Yes,
So I
Dr.
just want some
Aguilar?
clarity. We're voting on just the, not the overall.
The
Good.
amended, yeah, the
Thank you.
amendment. I don't think it's, yeah.
7-4, none against.
Motion carries.
Madam President, I move that the board add a 7th bullet point to the COVID-19 vaccination section on page 9, reading, "No student shall be vaccinated at an LPSS facility without a parent or legal guardian present and consenting."
Second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Centeni, second by Mr. Lachele. Any public comment on the motion?
It's against the Nuremberg Code. Vaccinate any child under the age of 12. They're experimental. They're not approved by the FDA, and they're very dangerous. And any child underneath the age of 12, you can't vaccinate them. It's against the Nuremberg
Thank you. Wait, you want to finish the public comment? Okay. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, we'll move over to board comment.
This is,
Mr.
I think this
Pacentani.
is, as you probably all know, almost completely superfluous because we have several policies in effect now that, as I've been explaining to anyone who asks the question, we pretty much don't even give children Pepto-Bismol. So this is just restating what every other policy we have is that we are not going to be giving students any vaccinations without their parents' consent. And I just wanted to make sure we put that out front and center so everyone could see it in writing. That was it.
Thank you, Mr. Centeni. Any additional board comment? No? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the amended motion.
Seven for, none against.
Motion carries. Now we need to, one more? Okay,
One more,
that's
Ms. Morrison.
three. I
This
thought you
and-
said two.
And this is more of a request for further information in the future. I move that the board direct the superintendent to consult with local, medical, and public health officials for interpretation of all relevant studies concerning immune response in those who have a confirmed infection and recovery from COVID-19, and that she report to the board on the guidance received relative to quarantine requirements for such a population.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Centeni, second by Mr. Lachele. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a second, guys. So listen, this is my request. I'm trying my extreme hardest to be as nice as I can possibly be. I know I can't force you to wear your mask. I know I can't. I know, ma'am, just listen to me. I know I can't. But respectfully, I kept my kid home last year because I was fearful that if my mom couldn't make it to the point where the vaccine came out, that if she caught it, she would die. We were blessed to make it to the vaccine, and in such, now that this Delta variant is here, I'm physically the closest person at the lowest point with which aerosol droplets will land on. And then I'm gonna in turn turn around and take that home. And I interact with my mama every single day. I love her, she's an angel. So what I'm gonna ask everybody to do, unless we can physically move this microphone, then I'm gonna ask everybody, just for me, if you can. I can't force you, you don't have to. You can tell me no, I'll politely get up. I think you're gonna say no, and I will get up. I'm trying to be respectful because by me being ugly to you, then I in turn get a new enemy. And I have enough of those already. So what I'm asking is, please guys, if you're gonna come up here, just have your mask on for me, because I believe in it. I humbly, respectfully believe in it. If you believe that the stork delivers babies, that's fine with me. What I'm asking you is please just wear your mask up here, guys. For me, I have to go home. It's my mama. If you say no, that's fine, I will get up. I'm the closest person, that's all I'm asking. I know y'all notice I'm getting up. I'm not even trying to be antical with it. Thank you, I appreciate it.
No, sir, I'll never be your enemy. I'll have no enemies. You know? But I just want to know what that means. I just want y'all to explain that.
Mrs. Centeni?
Okay, public comment's over now. So this request is, I felt that the guidance on when people had to quarantine based on whether they were vaccinated or whether they had a prior infection and recovery, I thought was logically inconsistent, though I wasn't able to find anything on the CDC website beyond the 90 days. I was able to find multiple peer-reviewed studies that showed memory B cells existed in levels that would generate an immune response up to 10 months and 12 months after infection. So what I'm asking is, because my opinion is that if you've had a prior infection and recovered from it, you should be treated the same as a quarantined individual. I'm also not a doctor, so what I'm asking is that the board ask the superintendent to consult with Dr. Kaufman, Dr. Logue, and Dr. Stefanski and come up with what does it mean? Do we have any more recent research, because it's been the 90-day antibody guidance for quite some time. So I'm just asking for further guidance from our public health officials to see, as children inevitably become infected and recover from COVID-19, are we going to continue to make them quarantine for 10 days once we get outside of the 3-month window? That's all I'm asking. That's what this does. Thank you.
Okay. No other board comment. We'll call for the vote. Was it Tim? Yeah. Hang on.
7-4, none against.
Motion carries. Dr. Session?
Just a question. If and when we vote on it, let's say it passes as is, I know we took away the superintendent's authority at a point in time because we granted holistic immunity, basically. But does this prevent the superintendent from making the specific changes so we don't have to come and have special meetings every 2 days if something dramatic needs to occur? I'm asking for somebody's opinion. If it passes as is like this, does this allow her, based upon if something changes, she can update it? Or does she need to come to us?
I guess if something changes, we could be made aware of it, and we could decide if it needs to be voted on or not.
Okay.
What do y'all think about that?
You have an opinion? What, Ms. Boudreaux is raising her hand. Yeah, please. I just want to know. I'm just curious.
As written, so this document will become a board policy, and unless you authorize the superintendent to make changes to it as needed explicitly, then you will need to come back and have meetings to make changes to it.
Frankly, that's all. I think the wording of this is broad enough. These are rules right here. This is not implementation. And so, the superintendent certainly has the ability to shut down a school, certainly has the ability to shut down a class. I think we all agree with that. Even in a normal year, she has that ability. So I would say that these are certainly broad enough that I don't know that they're going to need to be changed frequently.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Dr. Aguilar?
Yes, thank you. One of the things I'm concerned about is the plan to initiate the school year using the AB schedule for 2 days only. With the uncertainty about the mandate of wearing masks and the need for everybody to get adjusted to this school year, I would like to offer a motion that this plan indicate that the district would remain in the AB schedule until September 15th.
Any comments from the public? Any comments?
It's already hard enough during the summertime. And if my kids aren't on the same schedule, because I have a high schooler and 2 younger ones, that means either me or my husband have to stay home with the younger ones if they're not on the same schedule. So I do agree with it. I do like it because, yes, it is going to take the children time to adjust to these because they have not worn them all summer. So I do like it. I just wouldn't say maybe that long. Just my opinion on that. One other thing. Are y'all going to talk about the protocols of what y'all are doing to prevent this at the schools? As far as like, did y'all do training sessions with your custodians? As I mentioned earlier, there are other products out there, and I'm not trying to sell my products. I'm just making you aware that certain people in this parish are not doing their due diligence and looking at other things, you know. So are y'all going to discuss that tonight, or is that part of it? Because as a parent, I want to know, how often is my child's desk getting cleaned? Did y'all buy foggers? Other parishes bought foggers and are fogging them when the kids go to recess and PE and things like that. So what, as a parish, did y'all buy other than dispensers that I know from one of your workers that y'all ordered from China and y'all had to throw away because they didn't work? We have free dispensers, and I'm right down the road. So again, I'm not trying to push my products. I just want to know what y'all are doing. What is your plan of actually keeping the kids safe? Because Lysol and Clorox wipes, you can't just wipe it and let it kill right away. It has to have a dwell time. So what is your plan?
I'm sorry.
No, that's
This is
fine.
not pertaining to the motion on the floor.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion is AB.
Okay, we have any additional board comment? Mrs. Zantani?
Yes, I have a comment. I could not be more opposed to this. I think we ought, I'm sorry, you want to go first? Yeah, by all means, sir.
So for the sake, thank you, Mr. Santani. So for the sake of discussing it, because I spoke with Doc maybe, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he had mentioned that he was in favor of it. I'm not really sure. I think this motion will fail, but I'm still a little worried about the kids attending school. My kid didn't attend school when it was 5% positivity, and now I'm not even sure what we're at right now, 13, 15, 16. It does worry me. I just wanted to at least have a chance to let the board discuss it. Mr. Santani has something to say. We canceled school when we knew it was here, and in the most ideal setting, we wouldn't conglomerate 700 kids and 1,500 kids and 2,000 kids in one setting. But Lord knows, I know if anybody, that I'm pretty sure my 5th grader going to 6th grade is behind right now because he set out last year, and it terrifies the hell out of me. He's a gifted and talented kid, and I feel like he's behind right now because he didn't have that in-person instruction. So I know he needs it. We're prepared to go to school because I can't have him sit out another year, even though he received some sort of education, but it is worrisome. So I also, too, would like to hear about what the lady requested as well at some point in time, because I'm still terrified. He's gonna catch it at some point. He's gonna come home with it. He can't get vaccinated. He'll be the youngest kid on campus. He's 10. He's still a full 2 years from getting vaccinated until they drop that age group. And that's it. Thanks.
Mrs. Santani?
Yeah, I want to make sure that that I cover all the bases of how I approach a decision like this. I didn't get to participate in this meeting last year because I was at home with COVID, and so I sometimes have a unique perspective on this. I learned last night doing a reading on a lot of different topics, mainly around the thing that I requested more information about, where should we quarantine a person who had it before. That if you've had it and recovered and been vaccinated, there was an actual doctor that used the word bulletproof to describe that person, which that applies to me. And I couldn't have been happier to read those words after reading all of the ways that opening school could go wrong, and all of the risks that we're taking, and all of the things that we should or should not be doing to mitigate risk. And I'll tell you, after my experience last year, it was, I think I've told the superintendent this several times. I don't know if I've ever told any of you this. When the school bus turned the corner on September 8th last year to pick up my son, I actually had a little tear in my eye because I didn't think we'd ever get there. And it was terrifying to be responsible for so many children and so many employees when we simply were leaping into the breach and didn't know what was going to happen. Now we have experience of a year. We had elementary schools open all year. We closed 2 schools for short, brief periods of time for reasons that did not have to deal with school spread. This was all community spread based. I think in one of the school's cases, it was because we didn't have enough teachers to keep the school open because they had been infected from outside the school campus. We had 1%, Ms. Trosclair? Was that our regular positivity rate on our school campuses last year?
It
for
was at or
students?
below that, yes.
At or below 1% positivity rate. Ms. Gardner, do we know, I'm going to ask you off the top of your head, how many COVID days did we use last year?
At this time, I really have no idea. When we met earlier, last time y'all discussed it, I believe, which was last January, I think we said it was an average of 16% of our
Okay.
employees had used it at that
Okay.
point, or
Okay.
some of them at that point, but not even all.
I use these, and then one of the other studies that I came across over the last couple of weeks was the study by the CDC in April that talked about, and this is for you, Ms. Cassidy, I'm answering your question now, that said fomite transmission, surface transmission. Well, actually, I'll talk about this when we approve it because that's not appropriate right now. It's just AB days. I feel like we know what our experience was last year. We have a handle on what worked and what didn't work. We have, the children are going to wear masks. The teachers are going to wear masks. Many teachers have been vaccinated. The Delta variant is twice as transmissible. That's not a point in our favor. But I feel like we know enough to be able to react intelligently, to be able to react safely, and to be able to have our children in school, because as the State Department of Education pointed out very clearly to us yesterday, was the difference in virtual students and in-person students. What was the difference in test scores, Ms. Trosclair?
It was approximately 15%. Virtual students perform lower in reaching mastery than those that were in school in person.
Yeah. I think we all knew that intuitively. And so I certainly, Dr. Chassaw, I want you to feel confident in the tremendous risk that you're taking with your son. I want you to feel confident in it. I think we know enough to justify that confidence. But I also want to make sure that we do what's wise and what's smart for our children, and making sure we do everything that's necessary to keep them in school, keep them in front of their teachers, and give them as much of a normal school year as we can.
Okay, not seeing any more board comment, we'll call for the vote.
That's on a substitute motion, right?
Yes, sir. About the AB days.
Two for, 5 against.
Okay, motion fails. Okay, so now we're going to vote on item.
Madam President, I move that we approve.
I was about to say that.
Okay. We approve the 2021-2022 Learn Lafayette reopening plan as amended.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Centeni and a second by Mr. Broussard. Any comment from the public?
Julia Reed, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators President. I would just like to reiterate our association's support for the reopening plan. We find the mitigation measures quite satisfactory. If you actually look at the plan, it does talk about how often we will be sanitizing the desks. I do believe that the type of cleaners that we use are also a matter of public records. If you go back and review previous board meeting videos, if you'd like to know what we use to clean the desks. Yeah, so I appreciate the superintendent always being here to hear our teachers' concerns, and we like to support her as much as we can. So thank you, and I hope you approve the plan.
Any board comment?
This is the one that I postponed just now.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I found was a study on the CDC's website from April that said fomite transmission to normal people. I learned that means transmission of the virus off of hard surfaces. Had about a 1 in 10,000 chance of transmitting the virus. So what we were concerned about last fall when we instituted cleaning desks after every period turned out to be, really just a pretty big waste of time. Like, we weren't really preventing anything as much as we were kind of mentally making ourselves feel good about what we were doing. So that's why that's not in there, but as Ms. Reed accurately pointed out, I believe the plan says twice a day, does it not? Okay, yeah, twice a day, which, that's probably plenty of traffic to justify a cleaning even in non-COVID times, I would say. Thank you, Ms. Morrison.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Not seeing any more comments. We'll call for the vote.
Seven for and then against.
Motion carries. Next item pulled was item 4.3, discussion and/or action concerning a proposed 2021-2022 Student Parent Handbook, and that was pulled by Dr. Aguilar.
Ms. Morrison, I'm not prepared to make a motion. I have a concern that I'd like to address after hearing a motion.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll make the motion, Ms. Morrison.
Okay.
4.3, that the board approves the proposed 2021-2022 Student Parent Handbook as attached in the public content section of this agenda item.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lachele. Have a second? Second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public?
Jessica Wells. I propose that we don't have uniforms this year due to the national shortage of uniforms. The majority of Lafayette Parish is Title I, that they cannot get uniforms online due to no debit cards, etc. When you order through the school, they're having issues getting it on time. So I feel that we have in place that when you have a free dress day, there are protocols for what students can and can't wear. So I feel that we should be able to not have uniforms due to the lack of the accessibility of getting uniforms. So we could have the protocol of the free dress days, what is appropriate and what not, because all of the students do know what is appropriate. And also a part for the non-hoodies, in there, there's no hats allowed. So the hoodies, as far as like not wearing a hood, should be irrelevant because you can't wear a hat. So why are we not wearing a hoodie? We have to pick our battles. We can't find uniforms. Now they're saying no hoodies on jackets, sweatshirts, shirts. What is a parent gonna buy? It's hard enough as it is finding uniforms. Try finding a jacket, a sweatshirt in all sizes from pre-K to 12th grade without a hoodie. It's just find very irrelevant that we're stressing over a hoodie. Thank you.
Any comments from the board? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Miss Mary, sorry. Gemma Cedillo. I'm actually up here speaking as a parent today. I have 2 boys, a middle school and a high school. Y'all, finding a jacket without a hoodie, even if it zips, like last year, they couldn't have the hoodies, the pullovers, so we had to get the zip-ups, and that was really hard to find. And not to mention, my kids love hoodies, so they wear them all the time. So we went out and we got the jackets that zipped, so they could have the hood. But now the dress code says absolutely no hoods whatsoever, and finding a jacket without a hood is gonna be very, very difficult. And then bring in the child factor of, I'm not gonna wear that. So I just would request that as a parent, that you would reconsider that. Thank you.
Any board comment? Mr. Lachele?
I think the part about the hoodie I can address from the conversations I've had with the administrations at my school. I think if students would comply and not wear them with earbuds in their ears and so forth and so on, I've actually stood at the front of Acadiana High as students are leaving classes and back and forth, and having an administrator at different points in the school tell the same kid to take the hoodie off his or her head in the course of walking to class. So I think if the children would follow the rules, it would not be a problem, but they don't, and the administrators and faculty have asked that jackets with hoods or hoodies not be allowed. And I think if it's that big of a concern for the administration and the staff, and as big of a distraction as it is for the administration and the staff, then I'm gonna go ahead and support it. But on the other hand, like I said, if the children would listen and follow the rules, it would not be a battle we have to fight. It really would not be. Thank you.
Dr. Aguilar?
Yes, I agree with Mr. Lachele that the problem is compliance. What I'm concerned about is that we are adopting this change in the dress code policy 8 days before the start of the school year. So I did have a constituent contact me about the fact that they had already purchased a jacket with a hood and would have to, reverse tactics and do something about this. What I'd like to know is, twice in this notable changes, it mentions for cold weather lower than 38 degrees, please check the LPSS website homepage for a dress code advisory. Maybe somebody could explain exactly what that advisory would sound like if it's below 38 degrees?
Yes, sir. This past year, if we all remember, we dipped into the 18s, the 14s, the 22 degrees where it stayed for a long period of time. So we allowed the schools to have some cold weather to where they could wear some sweatpants, or they could wear different alternative gear, wardrobe, to stay warm, standing out for the bus. So the committee, dress code, we've met twice, felt that something, in some schools we're doing it some way, in some schools we're doing it another way. So we issued something from the district last year or the year before that made more sense, and it got everybody on the same page. So we would monitor the weather. If the weather dips down to where it'll stay below like the 38, to where the children, it will be cold outside, then we would be able to issue what it would be, the dress code would be allowed that day parish-wide, and that way we'd not have some schools doing something different and other schools not allowing something. So we created consistency for all students during cold weather.
So as you envision, there would still be no permissible use of hoodies, even in extremely cold weather. Would that include earmuffs as well, or a hat as well?
No, sir. On a cold day like that, we would make provisions. That's why we are denoting a cold weather day. If it is 22 degrees, we are going to allow the children to have some leniency, and that would be posted on the website what that cold weather attire would be. And that way, when it's not cold, and we don't have that many extreme cold days a year, but that way we would make sure all our children who are standing out for the buses, walking in between classes that are outside, would be accommodated for cold weather gear on those days.
Okay, and I guess the last question is, has this information been disseminated through student orientation exercises at schools?
No, sir. We were waiting for the handbook to go up today. We were delayed because of some law changes in discipline policies. We were advised by council to hold off till August to print our handbooks. And because our dress code is in this policy, that's why it's up now. So after tonight, it'll be disseminated.
Thank you.
Any more board comment? Mr. Broussard?
Ms. Garner, is the student being reprimanded for not complying with this? or if I've got to tell you several times every day, just take the hood off or take the earplugs out of your ear from the radio or phone, are we reprimanding the students for constantly having to remind them to do so?
The discipline, the consequence chart in the behavior matrix portion of the student handbook does allow administration to use as willful disobedience and be out of dress code. There is a dress code violation. Yes, sir, it is there.
I'm sorry, I have one more
Dr.
question.
Aguilar, go ahead.
I have one more question. What will be the response, given that parents are having trouble getting uniform for students? What will be the district policy on the first week of school when students come to school and they do not they're not in appropriate, complete, full uniform?
They're to reach out to their administrators at that school if they're having difficulty finding the uniforms, and we're working with our administrators for that process to be able to help the students and to create that they can come on campus following within the guidelines, and the administrator will work with the families.
Okay, any more board comment? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Five for, 2 against.
Motion carries. Next item pulled is item 4.5, discussion and our action concerning 2020 reapportionment timelines, criteria, and project proposals for professional services from geographic planning and demographic services. That would be Mr. Hefner. I would entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board defer approving the contract with Geographic Planning and Demographic Services until we can coordinate or at least discuss with the parish and city councils of Lafayette on possibly coordinating with a demographer.
Okay. I have a motion by Mrs. Centeni and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comment from the public? Any comment from the board? Go ahead.
So, welcome, Mr. Hefner. In the proposal that's attached to the agenda, there is certainly a, we're a current client, so we get a discount, and thank you for that. And then I believe somewhere in here, he also says that if we also work with the parish council or the city council, we also get another discount as well. I'd just like to coordinate and make sure that we're one demographer can take Lafayette Parish and look at it once and meet all the needs of all three elected bodies. So I'd just like to wait until we can coordinate and see what LCG's plans are and possibly take advantage of these discounts.
Yeah, that's certainly not a problem. I did want to bring it up, though, to the board that reapportionment is coming up. It's actually here now. State and federal law require any entity or jurisdiction that elects their representatives by district, that after each census they have to take a look at each of their current districts and see if they're still in balance population-wise. Now in the past, with the 2000 census cycle in 2010, because consolidated government had 9 members and the board had 9 members, worked together and developed a common plan. Now, this is the first time since the 1990 census cycle that the board actually develops its own plan. You have 9 members, the parish government has 5. One of the reasons this time I've been offering a discount for the parish to use the same demographer as the school board is because both of you are parish level and you both use precincts to build out your districts. Now they have 5, you have 9. That cuts up the pie a little bit different, so it's even more critical to try to coordinate the development of those 2 separate plans, because what precincts you choose to split, when you have to split, and how you split it can mean a big change, or it can avoid some additional election costs down the road. Because the fewer the precincts, the less expensive it is to hold an election. I'm a real big believer in trying to keep that to a minimum, particularly when it comes to lockouts, because that causes voter confusion. Lockout is basically some people in a precinct will vote for one candidate and the rest will vote for another candidate. That's a lockout situation. You want to try to avoid that where you can. But since parish government is in charge of the precincts, we need to have them involved, because whenever we split a precinct for their plan, they have to create a whole precinct out of it. When we do that, that might be to the advantage of the school board's plan to have that. So that's why I like to try to coordinate it, and I certainly have no problem with it. They have asked for information with regards to the proposal. I haven't made a formal presentation to them yet, because the next step that I'll be doing, regardless whether you use my services or not, since I have the district data from the 2010 board plan and the 5-member parish council and the 5-member city council plan, I'll be doing the first required thing, which is a determination, which will be your current districts with the 2020 population, and identifying any of those that are outside the allowable plus or minus 5%. That'll be coming to you as a report, and then we'll have to have a resolution on the agenda sometime within 6 months saying whether reapportionment is necessary. I'll be doing the same thing for them. So that's probably going to kick off some discussion on their part at that particular time. You do have time. Your election cycle is unique in the state. By legislative action, it was moved from the the fall of 22 election cycle that all the other school boards are on, to the election cycle that goes with the parish government and parish governing authorities. So you don't come up until 23. But I would suggest moving along deliberately on it, because right now you don't have a Section 5 pre-clearance requirement, which greatly simplifies things. You still have to follow all the requirements of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, but you don't have to go through this prove that you're not guilty situation with the Section 5 pre-clearance. So that's not in effect at the moment. There is a one additional voting rights bill that is before Congress that, if it's passed, would reinstate Section 5 pre-clearance, and I'm quite certain that Louisiana would be one of the covered jurisdictions, so you would have to go through that extra time and expense to be able to do that. So that's why I would suggest, when you do decide to do it, go ahead and move it along deliberately and get it done, get it over with. Any questions? I gave, you had the timeline. Like I said, we're in good shape on the timeline. Normally, we would have already had our data, our census data, back in late February or March, but with COVID, Census Bureau has had delays in both collecting and tabulating. They're telling me that we should be getting it on August 16th. So if I get it on August 16th, it's going to take a few days to do all the programming and whatnot, and then I'm going to start working through getting everybody's determinations done. I'll send that out to you ahead of time, and then we'll just take care of things formally. But you'll know pretty soon which districts are out of balance. And there will be some. Parish has grown too much to remain in balance. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? I know 10 years ago it was really easy, because when I served on Lafayette Consolidated Government, we adopted a plan and the school board adopted the same. So that was quite easy.
Yeah,
but things have changed since then.
Yeah, Nancy Jensen was the one I recommended. I worked with her in a technical advisory capacity, because I'd just come off the board. And also with 2000, I was on the board. That's why I didn't do it as the point person. I didn't want it to look like a conflict or look like I was fixing myself up.
Right.
But she has since retired, so she's asked me to pick up her clients. So that's added a little bit more workload on my end. But I certainly would appreciate the opportunity to do it from my home parish. I do it for about a third of the state already, but it's good to do your home parish.
Thank you, Mr. Hefner.
you.
Appreciate it. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the amended motion to defer.
Six, for, one against.
Motion carries. Next item pulled was item 4.6, discussion and or action concerning a budget revision and the self-funded construction fund for Woodville Elementary cafeteria expansion and wing addition. And that was pulled by Mr. Broussard.
Madam President, I have the motion for this item. I move that the board approves a budget revision in the self-funded construction fund by transferring $165,000 from the committed school site renovations, construction and land building line item to the Woodville Elementary cafeteria expansion and wing addition project line item.
I have a motion by Mrs. Centani and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? Mr. Broussard?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I asked to pull this item. You know, we try to be good steward of taxpayers' dollars, and to no fault of your own, Mr. Waterlawn. But one of the board members alluded to earlier about having somewhat of a checklist when it's all said and done, and we tried to get that after each major project that is put on in our schools or whatever we've got. And I'd just like to know, how did we come up with $165,000 in addition when we chose the architect because he was already there, and it would have been a saving to us. I understand the price of material went up, but labor should not have gone up. And we got ourselves in the pickle now, because if we say we're done, then the next one comes in and say because of the mess that this one came up with, it'll be another $1 million. So it concerns me. I'm not blaming anyone. It just concerned me, and that's one of the things we're trying to get away from. Is every time we come in, a lot of times we come in with projects and we do a change order for one thing or another, but you never get the credit for under budget or within budget. But I understand you get the hatchet for over budgeting or change orders. But we have got to start holding these architects' feet to the fire. You come in with a turnkey job, this is what you charge, and I know there's the over and above a certain percentage, but these are coming to us a little bit too often. Just your comment on that, and if there's a recommendation, if at the end of the day we give him an F or A or B or C, or we're done with you because whatever reason. Just your recommendation, how we can be better stewards of taxpayers' dollars.
Well, Mr. Broussard, the increase has nothing to do with the architect's fees. So that's nothing to do with his fees. The increases have to do with the cost of construction at this time. It has skyrocketed. The delivery of materials is getting more and more challenging every day. I'm hearing stories about extra long lead times on steel, on sheet metal, on all types of building materials. So, and again, these are no fault of the architects. I mean, at some point in the past, they gave us an estimate of what they thought the building cost would be at that time. and then there were increases that are beyond everybody's control. So they are advising us of these increases because they don't want there to be any surprises either. They don't want to tell us it's going to cost some price down here, and when it actually bids out, it comes in way up here, which is, you know, somewhat embarrassing to everyone. So they want to give us the realities and keep us advised of the current market conditions so that hopefully there's no surprises. And of course, we have a choice. We can either increase funds for the project, or we could stop the project altogether if that's what we so choose. So we probably are going to be coming to the board occasionally with some of these things because of the current market conditions.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not, but it's just concerning to all of us that things like that occur. And I'm just making a statement. I'm not blaming you or anyone else. And I know that the material has gone up considerable. And if we stop the project now, the next architect might be $1 million more than what's requested now. So we've got no choice but to go with it. You know, but I just need to bring that to everybody's attention that that's a major concern of ours, that so much money is, and $165,000 may not be a lot of money to some, but it's a lot of money to those who are trying to take every penny and rebuild every school we've got in the Parish of Lafayette. Again, not passing the blame on nobody. I'm just saying it's a concern of all the board members.
Mr. Angel?
I want to agree with Mr. Bordelon. I'm just a personal experience. I'm helping a guy build a camp. It's a small house in Brittler Rose, and we're dealing with the company out of Bro Bridge for materials. And it was suggested by the salesman at the materials hardware lumber store that if it's possible that the owner buy all of the materials now. Because every time a load comes in, almost every time another load of 2x4s or 2x6s or truss, it's higher and higher. So the price, I don't know about labor, but the price of materials, I know for a fact is it's high, and it's still growing, still higher.
Yes, sir. All right. Any additional comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Hmm. 4.7. Oh, yeah, you have two.
Seven for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pull is item 4.7, discussion and/or action concerning negotiation of the intergovernment agreement between Lafayette Consolidated Government and the Lafayette Parish School Board for city bus use. Entertain a motion.
Madam President, I'll move that the board authorize the board president to negotiate changes and enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Lafayette Consolidated Government, providing LPSS students the option of utilizing the Lafayette transit system.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Santani and a second by Mr. Angel. Any comments from the public? Comment.
I just want to know what it is and how Lafayette bus system's going to work with our students.
I know Dr. Chasson wanted to pull this, and now he's nowhere to be found. So, and before I get started, I want to give a special thanks to Ms. Morrison for the work that she's done over the last couple of months. This has been I don't want to call it a dream, but like this has been something that I've really wanted to have happen for a number of years now, as I'd watch our city buses in Lafayette drive down Congress Street through the heart of the Lafayette High School attendance zone, and there's a bus stop at Lafayette High School. And I would think about all the school buses that drive down Congress Street every day, bringing Lafayette High students to and from school, and how, yeah, it might be pretty easy for them to just walk down to Congress Street from their neighborhood in the St. Streets or White Subdivision or, you know, wherever they live along that route, and just get on the city bus, since they're running anyway. And we never really were able to make much headway into how this would look with LCG, and they, you know, like any governmental entity, they've had their own priorities and their own, you know, troubles and issues to face and deal with. But recently, Ms. Morrison and Sidra Wingert, the CAO of Lafayette Consolidated Government, along with Mayor President Guillory, they really put forth some effort to make this work. And so what we've done is, you'll see there's a payment of $10,000 per year to LCG. And in exchange, our students simply have to show their ID card and they can ride the bus. That is it. And so, you know, on the first day, which I think is supposed to be August 14th, the Saturday after the second day of school, when all students will have their ID cards, they'll be able to just ride the bus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not restricted to school hours. So now students who live across town from where they might be able to get a job, they have and may not have transportation, they have transportation. It's gonna, you know, hopefully foster a mindset of utilizing public transportation. We'll start with the kids and get them used to it, and tell them, let everybody see that public transportation, especially the buses, they're really nice. They have air conditioning, they have Wi-Fi. Like, you know, nobody's on them either. You got them all to yourself. So, you know, it's really something that I'm proud of. And I want to thank Ms. Morrison for, she went to the meetings that I couldn't go to keep this ball moving forward. And I'm just so thankful that we're at a point where our kids are going to be able to ride the bus.
And also in many other communities, in many other states, this is like a normal for them. And it's so important that we partner and do things together, because we're always better together, and we see these opportunities where we could partner with other agencies to provide this service for our students. So it's so important that we do that. So I thank LCG, I thank Mrs. Intani, I thank our superintendent, Ms. Troxclair, for being on board with this as we move forward. And like Mrs. Intani said, if our high school students have little jobs and they don't have transportation, they could use the bus to get there and don't have to worry about paying for it. So, any other comments? Dr. Sasha?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. My apologies. I was speaking to someone outside. I hope I don't reiterate anything that someone else said, but before this item passes, I want to do the exact same thing that I did for the gentleman at the time when he spearheaded us being able to rebuild schools when everybody else told us we were crazy for those ideas. Justin Centani mentioned to me, dear God, a year ago, 2 years ago, that was man, I got a really great idea. We're going to look at doing this. And I was like, it's very easy to champion the cause when you have no idea what's exactly going on. And you would get an update every now and then. And then I got a phone call. I told him I'm completely behind him. Let me know what you want to do. I'm all for it. And then I got a phone call, and he was really excited. And he said, hey, guess what? We did it. It's done. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. So you mean to tell me my 10-year-old who probably would never ride the bus will be able to get on the bus? So now I'm going to get to show him what public transportation is, something that I never even thought about doing, but now that he has the ability to, we're going to use it. He can get a job during the summer, ride the bus, he can go with his friends to the mall, just have a blast. And I got to tell you, thank you, man. It's very, very easy for us to sit here and, yeah, I can tell. I just told 4 guys outside, man, look, the great news. But I also got to follow that up with, man, without staff, without LCG, and without Justin, man, like when you become president, I just take me to be your vice president if you don't mind. I'm with you, man. I'm gonna ride your coattail somewhere. It's a bus, but hey, listen, you mean to tell me that upwards of 30-something thousand students can ride the bus? I mean, we were on it. Like, we're talking about, okay, well, how young can they ride? Well, no, hold on a second. And he's already on the website. Well, right now, the current policy is, got to be 5 and up for, and these are all things that'll get worked out in the process. But kudos to you, sir. You deserve the recognition.
Seeing no further board, Mr. Broussard?
Do we have any idea how many used that facilities last year? I know we implemented that in the, how many used the public facilities last year? We have any idea what the numbers look like? Or do we ever get a count, or we just?
No, I think my understanding is that schools, I know Northside used to have certain number of bus passes that they would hand out on an as-needed basis, but I don't think there was anything kind of formal or where they were tracking any metrics. I do know that, anecdotally speaking, Ms. Williams at Northside has mentioned that it's been very helpful. I know I think the instructional leader's son and my son are in the same class, and so I see her on an irregular basis, and she mentioned the same thing about how giving the bus passes to families really helped increase attendance at parent-teacher conferences and things of that nature. So I know there's a demand for it, and if it's there, it'll get used, and I'm excited to see what it is. LCG in the agreement, LCG is going to keep statistics for us and report back on what kind of usage and penetration we're getting with our students getting on the city bus and utilizing the service.
Do you think Mr. Watkins is gone, do you think at some point that we can start utilizing more of the city transit and eliminate some of our transportation debts? As far as if we can work that out, I mean, now we got satellite stops all over the place, and if we can start working on that, as far as if the bus passes and bring you from A to B, then we can start.
So I think I'm very hopeful, to answer your question. I'm very hopeful that that's one of the end results, and it's not so much to get rid of bus drivers or anything like that, but it's to get rid of routes, get rid of the need that we have for additional bus drivers. I think everybody knows we don't have enough bus drivers. And so it's really trying to find ways to reduce the need so that we have routes that we can staff appropriately. And one of the ways, look, Lafayette High, I brought it up. If you live in Fightonville, or you live in my neighborhood, it's a block and a half to Congress Street. Go get on the bus. It's probably pretty easy. If you need a ride home after football practice, we're not sending the yellow school bus for you, right? So get on the bus.
Yeah, it helps the athletic program.
Absolutely.
And then, Dr. Shash, I know you was elated about that move, but I need to remind you, your son don't have a job. He's 10 years old.
Start him young.
I rode the bus when I was 8 years old. The bus stop was across the street on South Magnolia. We just walked across the street and we got on the bus. We didn't tell my mama where we were going. So it's just pretty cool. Thank you, Mr. Centeno. I appreciate you.
Okay, any other board comment? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. You got it? Okay, good. All right, so 4.30, right?
What's that? I like to say where I live.
So you pull 4.30?
Close to Fightonville.
You pull 4.30?
Yeah, I gotta make one change.
Okay.
It's called my neighborhood.
6 for, none against.
Motion carries. Next item pulled is item 4.30, discussion and or action concerning revisions to policy file GBM. And it was pulled by Mr. Centani.
Ms. Morrison, I move that the board approves the revisions to policy file GBM with the following additional sentence to paragraph 2 under the voluntary transfer heading. The superintendent shall define the start and end date of the voluntary transfer period each year once the board has approved the pupil-teacher ratio for the following fiscal year.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Centani. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Broussard. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the board? I'll call for the vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we just made it.
I mean, this is the easy one, Mike.
It's the easy one. All the time, all the time, see.
5 for, none against.
Okay, motion carries. That was the last item pulled. If we have no further business, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.